Well, hello Internet, and welcome to part 23 of my Designs Patterns video tutorial. Today we're going to talk about the interpreter design pattern. So what is the interpreter design pattern? Well, as I was first taught about this pattern, the professor said this exact line. I wrote it down in a notebook. The interpreter pattern is normally ignored, and I've seen many places online this pattern is almost never used. Well, I'm going to show you in this tutorial how to do some really cool things with the interpreter design pattern. However, there's one caveat. If you do not like Java Reflection, you might as well stop this video right now and stop watching it. Also, if you are here for just a complete copy of the Gang of Four book and their interpretation of the interpreter design pattern, while I will, for the most part, stick to that, I am going to make changes. So if you don't like that fact, also go watch somebody else's video. If you do, however, want to see how to do some really cool things with the interpreter design pattern, you're in the right place. And let me just show you what we're going to do. So let's say you would want to make a conversion little tool here so that you can convert different types of measurements to other types of measurements. Well, the interpreter design pattern is going to help you do that really easily. Let's say you wanted to take 1 gallon and you wanted to convert it to tablespoons. That's all you need to do, and hit OK, and there's your answer. 1 gallon equals 256 tablespoons. And I could go in and type in all types of other different types of measurements. Like I mentioned before, the previous professor who had talked about the interpreter design pattern pretty much said it was worthless. That night, whenever I used it in combination with Java Reflection, I was able to create, just with those two ideas, I was able to put together the Zork text-based video game. So, if you want to see some really cool stuff and learn a whole bunch about Java Reflection and a whole bunch of other things that I've received in regards to questions you guys have asked, let's get into the interpreter design pattern. So like I said before, I find it extremely useful if used in connection with Java Reflection techniques, and pretty useful in general. It is basically just used to convert one representation of data into another representation of data. What you're going to have is mainly 3 pieces, and this all comes from the Gang of Four book to a certain extent. You have the context, which contains all the information that is going to be interpreted. You have the expression, which is going to be an abstract class that's going to define all the methods needed to perform the different types of conversions. And then you're going to have the terminal or concrete expressions, which are going to provide very specific conversions on different types of data. So let's look at this in sort of a UML class diagram. Okay, on the left, you're going to have your client that's going to ask for certain information. That information is going to be stored in what is called the context. And you can see that right here, conversion question. Then you're going to have all sorts of responses and different information is going to be relayed from the context over to concrete expressions that are all going to extend this abstract class. And you can see a very specific example. What I'm going to do here is say, okay, you're going to give me gallons. In exchange, I'm going to give you either gallons, quarts, or pints. Or if you give me quarts, I'm going to give you gallons, quarts, or pints as a response. So that's the basic idea of how the interpreter design pattern works. So let's jump into the code. Okay, so here I am in the conversion or the context. I call this conversion context.java, and I'm going to define a whole bunch of different things inside of here. So string conversion question is going to be the question they're going to send, like I showed you in the example, which is, 1 gallon to whatever you want to convert it to. And all the code is available underneath this video. It is heavily commented if you have any questions. Of course, you can always leave questions down below. Then I'm going to have conversion response. And then I've also found the need to store from conversion, which would be something like gallons, which is what I'm going to be converting from. And then I'm also going to just store inside of here a string, which is going to be to conversion, which is going to be what I want to convert to. So let's say tablespoons or pints or whatever you want. And then I'm going to create a string here, string array, and it's going to be parts of question. And it's going to store everything in individual pieces. So then I need to create my constructor here, and it's going to be passed a string, which is just going to be the input that is received from the user. And then I'm just going to go this. Actually, I don't have to do that. I can just do conversion question is equal to whatever the input is. So that's easy. And then I'm going to go parts of question. I'm covering a lot of things I've received questions on in this tutorial also. And I'm going to split that string into pieces based off of spaces, and then get input. Let's just copy that right there. I'm just going to create this. So it's going to be public string get input, and it's just going to return conversion question like that. So there we got that all set up. And then I need to get my from conversion. And you can make this very, very sophisticated. Like I said, I created a Zork game from that, which I was going to actually go over, but I just figured it would be way too long, so I'm going to try and simplify it. And then what I'm also going to do is capitalize this string so that it is easier to work with no matter what sort of questions they ask. So that means I'm going to have to create get capitalized. So let's bounce down here and go public string response get. Actually, just paste that in there, and it's going to get a string, and I'm going to call it word to capitalize. And the first thing I'm going to do is actually put everything here that is sent to me in lowercase letters. And to do that, just go word to capitalize and to lowercase like that. And then I'm going to make the first letter uppercase. And how you do that is go character to uppercase. And I'm going to go word to capitalize character at the 0 index position, which is, the first character in the string. Put a plus there, and then go word to capitalize and type in substring 1 like that. And that's going to capitalize just my first letter. And then on top of that, I'm going to throw a couple other things. I'm going to put an S on the end of this. So if they say 1 gallon, 2 pints, it's going to work. And if they say 1 gallons or 2 gallons, 2 pints, it's also going to work. So to do that, I'm going to go int length of word is equal to word to capitalize. I'm going to get the length of this. So I'm going to get the length. And then I'm going to say if word to capitalize dot character at, and I'm going to type in length of word minus 1, which is going to get me the last character inside of this guy. And then after this, I'm going to say is not equal to S. Well, then I want to put an S at the end of it so that we'll be able to, once again, to work with gallons or gallon. So we're going to go word to capitalize is equal to new. And to insert a character into the end of the string, I'm going to use a string buffer and go word to capitalize. And then after that, go insert. And then we're going to say length of word, comma in there. And then I'm going to say that I want the index, the very last index in this string, to be changed to S. And then I have to call to string and then put that there. So that's going to insert the letter S at the end of the string if it doesn't exist, which we checked right there. So that's kind of neat. And then after we've done all of that, we're going to go return word capitalize. And there it is. It's all set up. So there's a whole bunch of different things we just learned. So that's kind of cool. Let's give myself some space. So there's get capitalized. And then I'm going to do to conversion, which is going to be what do we want to convert from to. So we want to go from gallons to pints. Okay, well that's what to conversion is going to have inside of it. So we're going to go get lowercase and we're going to pass it parts of, because I know what type of string they're going to be sending me. We can change this to 3 like that, because I know what they're going to be sending me is going to be something to the extent of 1 gallons, 2 pints. Okay, so 1 is going to be this guy, see, gallons right there. And then 3, of course, is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. That right there. So that's going to be what I need to convert it to. Okay, well, I'm using something else here, get lowercase, so I need to create that. Let's just get that out of the way there. And I'm just going to bounce right here and go public. I'm going to copy get lowercase. It's going to return a string, get lowercase, and it's going to receive a string, and it's going to be word to lowercase. So we're just going to change this to lowercase like that. And then let's create our little method here. And it's going to be real simple. I'm just going to go return word to lowercase and go to lowercase. So pretty simple. And let's save that. So then we got that all set up. So then we're going to bounce up here again, get some more information. We want to also get the quantity, and we want to convert this into a double because it's a string right now. So we're going to go value of, and then this is going to be parts of question, and the quantity is going to be the very first value passed. Remember, 1 gallons, 2 pints. So the first index is going to be 0. And then I'm going to zoom up here and go double quantity. And then let's make this private as well. And then we're going to go conversion response is equal to parts of question. And then basically going to kick out the same thing. It's going to say whatever, like if we say 1 gallons, 2 pints, it's going to say 1, throw a space inside of there. And then we could spit out either this or we could do that, whatever. Let's just throw that in there. So that's going to be 1 gallons. And then after this, we're going to go equals. And then later on, we're going to put the rest of our conversion information in there. So then we need to output and return some different information in regards to, let's say we want to get give them the from conversion. Well, get, and I'm just going to change this to from conversion, and it's just going to return from conversion, which is going to be right here. Copy that, bounce down, paste that in there, and then we're also going to return to conversion. So there's to conversion, and then we're just going to return to conversion, and then we could also return get response maybe, and then this is going to return conversion response, which is right there. If you haven't been able to figure it out yet, there's a whole bunch of things being covered in this tutorial aside from just the basic pattern. I could definitely see why we're going to need to get the quantity. So let's just return the quantity, and that's all we're going to need. So there we are. We're going to file save that, and that is conversion context.java that we got set up there. So the next thing we want to do is go into expression.java and define all the different methods or things that we're going to be converting into. So here's expression.java, and like I said, it's an abstract class, and you can make this list a mile long and be able to convert into just about anything. So we're going to go string. Now let's say I want to be able to convert to gallons, so we're just going to go double, and it's going to receive a quantity. So we got that all set up. Then we have to think about all the other different things that we might want to convert to. So we might also want to convert to quarts. So there's quarts. We also might want to convert to pints. So there's pints. We might also want to convert to cups. And then finally, let's convert to tablespoons. And there we are. We're done with that. So that is the expression. You're basically going to define all of the things that the concrete expressions are going to be able to convert into, which would be gallons, quarts, pints, cups, and tablespoons. Like I said, this could be a mile long and be able to do really insanely awesome things. So now we're going to implement that inside of gallons.java. You can see here, public class gallons extends expression. We're going to go here, zoom in on this, and it's going to say, hey, you need to implement some methods. Okay, fine, do that for me because I'm lazy. And there we are. Now we got all our methods we need. So basically, if we're going to be converting into gallons, what do we need to return? Well, gallons into gallons is equal to gallons. So we're just going to return whatever quantity they send to us. So that's real easy. However, we're going to want to convert this into a string. So we're going to go double to string like that, and then close that off. So that's going to convert that double that's sent over into a string, and then we're going to basically have to do that for everything else that we have here. Let's just get rid of all those, paste that in there, and then it's just a matter of doing the conversion, which is about math, and it's not really about programming, but either way, let's do it right. So how many gallons goes into quarts? Well, basically you're just going to come in here and multiply quantity times 4. Here for pints, we're going to multiply this times 8, and then for cups, we're going to multiply that times 16, and then tablespoons, we're going to multiply that times 256. And there you go. We've just defined our conversions. So we're done. File save. Okay, so now that that's all out of the way, let's go into measurement conversion.java, and let's start playing around with reflection. As you can see here, this is the library, and we're going to use a couple little swing tools just to help us along so that we have our little pop-up that shows on the screen. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go JFrame frame is equal to new JFrame so that we can open our little pop-up on our screen. And then we're going to go string question ask is equal to JOption pane, which is our little pop-up whenever we put in show input dialog. And then we just need to pass it the frame that we want to use and the question we want to ask, which is what is your question? And there we go. Now we're going to get our string, which is going to contain the question, and it's going to be up to us to be able to translate this into an answer. So then we're going to go conversion context, which is the very first class that we created, and we're going to go question is equal to new conversion context, which is going to store, remember, the initial response or information that is sent to us, and we're going to pass that question asked, and it's going to be its job to parse it and put it into different forms that we're going to be able to use. Well, then we're going to go string from conversion, which is going to find the object class that we're going to be converting from. See, in this situation, we're going to be converting from gallons to either gallons, quarts, pints, cups, or tablespoons. So from conversion means that we're referring to this class right here. So let's go into that. And to get that, we're just going to go question get from conversion. We're going to call that method we created earlier and open that up. Well, then we're going to need some other information like what are we going to be converting to, or the to conversion. Now, to conversion is going to be a reference to the method we're going to be calling. We're going to be using reflection again, and I'll put a link to a reflection tutorial below if you don't know what that is, and there that is. So this is going to be the class object we're going to be calling, and this is going to be the method we're going to be calling within that class object. So get to conversion, and for the most part, like I said, that we're sticking to the basic gang of 4 interpretation of the interpreter pattern, but I'm adding a whole bunch of other functionality to make this really cool. Well, then we're going to go double quantity. We need to get our quantity that we are going to start with. So get quantity is going to do just that. Give me that. And then we need to get the class based on the from conversion string, or the class object. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to go class, temp class, and then we're going to use our conversion cool stuff for name. And if we want to call the class, well, we just want to pass it from conversion, which is going to be a reference to the class object that we are converting from, which is, in this situation, gallons, like I said before. So that's the class object we want to convert from. And it's going to give us some error message saying this needs to be surrounded with a try-catch block. So let's just surround with the try-catch block. Let them do all the work for us. And then we're going to get the constructor dynamically for the conversion string. And using reflection, we're just going to go and create a constructor object. And to call the constructor on our class, we just go temp class, get constructor, and it doesn't have any parameter types, so we can just leave it like that. And it's going to give us another message that says, hey, we need to add some things to our try catch block, so let's just let it do that and just say add catch clause to surrounding try. Keep everything nice and tidy. And it did that for us, so that's cool. Now we need to create a new instance of the object that you want to convert from, and to do that you're going to go object convert from, and we know this is going to be an expression because all of these extend the abstract class named expression. So we want to tell it that because that always is going to apply. Then we're going to go con, which is a reference to the constructor, and go new instance. And there are no arguments for the constructor, so we can just leave it that way. And what's it going to do? It's going to say, hey, we need to add some more catches to our try catch block, add catch clause to surrounding try. Click on that. We're going to do that again. So come back up here. So we know what class we're going to be using, we know what constructor, and we also created an object of that class type. So now what we're going to have to do is define the method parameters that are going to be expected by the method that was going to convert from the original chosen unit of measure to the new one. So let's just go over here. What is going to be sent to this? A double. That's all that's going to be sent to all of the methods that we're going to be calling on. So we need to come in here and define that fact. To do that, we're going to go class, create a class array, method, parameters. We're going to go new class like this, and then we're going to pass it a double. So we need to go double type. And I talk about the other types, but it's integer and all these other things. It's just basic common sense to figure out what type of class we're going to be passing. There's a double, and that's what we're going to be passing. Then we need to get the method dynamically that will be needed to convert into our chosen unit of integer. So we're going to go and create a method object. Conversion method is going to be its name, and to get that we're going to go temp class get method, which is another reflection tool. And if we want to figure out what method we want to get, well, we want to figure out what do they want to convert into, and to conversion is a string that contains that name, and that is what we're going to put inside of there. So there's to conversion. And what's going to be passed to the method? Well, this guy right here. So we're going to go method parameters and copy that guy and paste in method parameters. So this is going to be the parameter type, which is going to be a double, which we defined above. And if you want, like I said, the code's underneath this video. Well, then we need to define the method parameters that will be passed to this above method that we just got a hold of. And to do that, we're going to go object, and I'm just going to call this params is equal to new object, and then we're going to pass it an actual double value. And what's that double value we're passing? The quantity that is stored inside of here. So there we're actually passing a real, or there we're defining that we're going to pass a real double quantity or value over to our new method that we just created. And then we just have to get the quantity after the conversion, which is real simple. We're going to go string to quantity, and then we're going to have to convert this into a string. So there's the cast conversion method. We're going to call that method. And how do we call a method using reflection? We use invoke, and then we're going to say, okay, well, what object? Well, the object's name, remember, gallons. So how do we get this object? It's actually stored right here. See, convert from. So we have to get the object that we're going to be calling the method for. And then inside of that, we have to pass the actual values or the double that we want to pass to that very specific method. So this is powerful stuff. Might be a little bit hard to wrap your head around sometimes, but it's really cool whenever you do. And then we're going to go string, and we're going to go answer to question. We're done. All the hard stuff's done. So if you have any trouble with any of this, chances are it's this stuff right here. And the only reason you're having trouble with it is you don't understand how reflection works. If you study this, you will. You'll know everything you want to know about reflection. So then we need to craft our answer to the question, which is going to be pretty simple. We're just going to go question and get response, which we created earlier, which is going to be the beginnings of this. So let's just go over here. See, get response is right there. So conversion response, and where does conversion response come from? Up here, see? Conversion response, which is going to spit out this guy right here. So if it's 1 gallons to pints, what's this going to spit out? Well, it's going to spit out 1, and then what's it going to spit out? Parts of question, gallons, and then it's going to say equals, and I need to spell equals right. There we are. So that's what's going to come out, and there it is. That's going to be the beginning of our response to our answer. Let's save that, jump back over into measurement. So that's what this guy's going to do. So let's store that in our string here. Or actually, let's just go in here and go plus, and then I'm going to go to quantity is this guy right here. It is the new converted whatever you're converting into. This is going to be a number, and then we'll put a space in there, and then another place, and then we're going to define what are we converting to? Well, to conversion is what we're converting to. Close that off, close that off. And there we go. So that's our answer that we're going to be shooting out. And then all we need to do is shoot our answer out. So we'll go J option, pane, show, message, dialog, and we're just going to go null in this situation. And then the message we're going to provide is answer to question. So let's paste that in there. And then after they click OK, if we want everything to shut down, meaning the program altogether, we're just going to get this done the quick way. We're just going to go frame dispose. And there we are. So when they hit OK, it's going to give them the answer. It's going to do all the things we want it to do. And it's also going to close the program whenever we are done. Now, of course, I also went in and created quarts.java, which is almost identical to gallons.java and pints and cups and tablespoons. So there's all that information. Let's run it, execute, and then as you can see, this little box pops up here. And if we go 1 pint, or let's just say pint, 2 tablespoons, hit OK. 1 pint equals 32 tablespoons. And if we zoom out and hit OK, you're going to see this goes away. And there it goes. So here's how to do some really cool things with an interpreter design pattern. Leave any questions or comments below. Otherwise, till next time.